Welcome to the inaugural episode of the Black Etc. podcast, a podcast about how ideas, culture, and canon spread among Black Americans, especially outside of mass media. I'm your host, Ian Youssef. A little bit about me. I'm not an academic. I'm not a media professional. I'm not an influencer or anything like that. I'm just a regular person who's interested in Black culture and community. I currently live in the DC area where I'm a data professional. In the past, I've lived in Chicago, Las Vegas, Phoenix. I was born in Los Angeles. I have family in Mississippi, in Houston, and elsewhere. I was a PhD student at one point, didn't finish. I worked as a freelance writing consultant. I blogged for several years. I worked for Chicago Public Schools. I've been an analyst. I was working in the ed tech space for a little bit. So I've done a whole bunch of stuff. I wanted to talk a little bit about this podcast and why I decided to start it. This podcast was born out of desperation, really. I started a very ambitious project to expand the soul food canon. The website is soulfoodetc.com. I hope to mobilize the Black community in a collective effort to increase the number of dishes, the canon of dishes widely associated with American soul food by 1. Resurrecting lost dishes, 2. Spreading regional dishes beyond their regions, and 3. Creating new dishes based on the core principles of soul food. Again, this is an extremely ambitious project, and I am still not entirely sure how to make it happen. So after many false starts, lots of different plans, speaking to experts, historians, chefs, and people in the know, I realized that I needed to study the unique ways that ideas and culture spread and stick among Black folks. And this podcast is a deliberate effort to learn from successful examples of Black culture craft with the ultimate goal of applying the lessons to my soul food canon efforts. While the impetus of this podcast was Black food, the podcast will focus on all aspects of Black American culture, from music to movies, theater, literature, sports, comedy, fashion, politics, technology, anything really. I want to quickly define a few things that might be confusing. I'm using the word canon a lot. I'm using it to mean the set of works widely regarded as representative or the highest examples in a genre. So, what we consider classics, what we consider the Platonic form of the ideal, but in general, what do we commonly associate with this aspect of culture? People might say the Black film canon or the Western literature canon, so I'm using canon in that sense. A more tricky word is Black. I'm kind of deliberately vague about that. When I'm using Black, I'm using it to mean Black communities and identities rooted in the U.S. for a few reasons. One, I am extremely uncomfortable claiming specific traditions from Africa or even the Caribbean as our own, meaning United States Black Americans' own. I feel like they have their own cultures that they can express, and I just don't feel right claiming them as belonging to us. Having said that, I am extremely pro-diaspora, identity building. I'm pro-Pan-African solidarity. The Black here is not meant to be exclusive. It's meant to be definitional. Now I want to talk about the podcast itself and the vision I see for it moving forward. This podcast will focus primarily on culture and community, not on the achievements of exceptional individuals, although there will be some of that, of course. I feel like there are plenty of podcasts about that. I specifically want to know about Black culture, Black community, and how ideas spread. That's the focus. There will be a balance between well-known guests and quote-unquote regular people. I do believe that most people with knowledge in our community are not famous or widely recognized by the general public, and I want to make a deliberate effort to highlight those people. I will also be speaking to people from all ages, but elders, I think, will be disproportionately represented. I think intergenerational wisdom is being lost for Black folks in general, but especially for us. There's been a political and cultural war on the idea of community for several generations now. there's been formal, organized attacks on Black history specifically, and I think it's important to document our stories while we can. To that end, on some occasions, I will interview an elder, someone who has a lot of knowledge, even if that discussion does not work fully into my focus theme. So I think if I have a platform, I have an opportunity to speak to our elders and document their stories, I have an obligation to do that. So occasionally, I will just be talking to an elder about some aspect of their work within the culture or their life. Okay, so that's what to expect. I am really excited about all the guests we have coming up. I think you'll be quite surprised and pleased. I am with how these conversations have been going. And I really look forward to hearing you all's feedback and to you all coming on this journey with me. So stay tuned. And finally, please visit the website, blacketcpod.com.